I've had people that come in who've said, you know, Barb, that's a good baby. I have been a smoker for like 13 years, and then I haven't smoked in many years. But after you did the Bowen, my body was, I put my hand up and I smelled smoke in the room, and it was me. So you can detox years later, and that person that had been a smoker for all those years, that nicotine was still in their body, and then it finally pushed itself out through the skin. So that's how deep that stuff is, and that's how strong, that's how what would you call it, profound Bowen is for the body. So it doesn't hurt you. That's a good baby. Yeah, I know.
So you're concentrating mainly on his hip area because of his issue, or what?
Well, I'm working on his hip area, but I will tell you that because I do this full routine on him, I do a holistic routine. The Bowen works in a way that it took 40 years to develop the moves that made 80% of presenting problems go away almost immediately. So the first routine that's done, it's done always the same on people and then transferred to the anatomy of an animal. So it's always the same because it can address that many problems in one session. So the things that aren't addressed, then you go back in and do the follow-up moves for different moves. But I've had people say, well, Barb, you know, remember, my big toe, it's been hurting me for 3 years. And I've had shoe supports, and I've had injections, and I've had anti-inflammatories, and I've done everything I can, and that toe still hurts. I can't even wear regular shoes. So I do a treatment, and then they said, but don't forget it's my toe. And then I said, yeah, I know it's your toe. And they said, but you didn't even touch my toe, and it's my toe. And I said, yeah, I understand. Let's go ahead and give it this session, and then next week, if that hasn't been addressed, we'll address the extremity. So she calls back and she says, oh, and 3 days later she calls back and she says, oh, Barb, oh my gosh, my toe doesn't hurt me. And I said, that's great. And she says, you don't understand. My toe's been hurting me for 3 years, and you didn't even touch my toe. And I said, that's because the problem wasn't in your toe. It was in your hip. And your hips were unbalanced, and then when we aligned the hips, no more pressure on the toe.
So you're doing this on both humans and animals.
Humans and animals. I've been working on people for 15 years. In the last couple of years, I've started working on the animals. Horses, dogs, and cats.
Okay.
You can do it on rabbits and everything.
And so the amount of time you spend doing the manipulation is at the same time as when you are really doing the actual procedure if you're not talking? Or is
Yes.
this just for, is it,
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm
Okay.
doing a full treatment on
Okay.
this little baby that will last about the time that I'm just doing the conversation in between because we have 2-minute intervals. So, yeah, it's not like, because if I were to go and say I'm doing all the moves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it'd be too much, too much. There are, again, as I mentioned, there are some animals that if they have the first couple of moves, and they don't want any more, they'll walk over there, they'll cower, they'll stay away from me, they'll try to get out, they're done. They're done. You never force it. Animals do have an instinct that says, I've had enough, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not asking you.
sometimes I think it's also the body's intelligence.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Again, just like
Giving
I have to
the
tell
signal.
people to drink water, you don't have to tell dogs to do that. But I tell clients, make sure you have plenty of water afterwards.